Our gospel story for this fourth week of Lent is about costly seed. The poem, The Place Where We Are Right, by an Israeli poet, Yehuda Amachai, captures what I believe is the heart of the gospel's message. From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. In John's Gospel, Jesus heals a ruined man on the Sabbath, a man who has been blind since birth. When Jesus sees him, he kneels down, spits on the ground, makes a muddy paste with his saliva, rubs the paste on the man's eyes, and instructs him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. When the man obeys, his sight is restored. Though this is a miracle story, the gospel writer doesn't spend too long on healing itself. The focus of the lection is on the religious community's response, both to the man's blindness and to his restored sight. And it is in the response that I think Amachai's poem resonates, speaking powerfully to the challenges of our own time and place. From the place where we are right, the poet says, flowers will never grow in the spring. In other words, one of the most barren and desolate places we can occupy as Christians is a place of smugness, rightness, certainty. The more convinced we are that we have full insight, comprehension, and knowledge, the less we will see and experience of God. Even before Jesus heals the blind man, the disciples assume that his blindness is his own fault. So they ask Jesus, who has sinned and incurred God's displeasure, the man himself or his parents? But Jesus rejects the entire premise of their question. There is no relationship between the man's condition and his sinfulness, Jesus says. God does not make people sick in order to punish them for their wrongdoing. To step away from our brother or sister's suffering because we assume it is divinely ordained is not righteous. It's reprehensible. In the story John tells, Jesus sees the blind man, a man whom no one else really sees. In the eyes of his peers, the man is contaminated, burdensome, and expendable. In his community's calculus of human worth, the blind man barely registers. He's not a human being. He's blindness. The condition itself, with all of its accumulated meanings, which is why, when the man's sight is restored by Jesus, his own townspeople, the people he had lived and worshipped with for years, don't recognize him. They don't know how to see him without his disability. To do so would be to recognize a common humanity, bond, kinship, and that would be intolerable. So, of course, when the man shows up at the temple healed and whole, the community rallies to discredit him, to restore order, reestablish the social hierarchy, and reinforce the status quo. But why? Why does the community feel such an urgent need to silence the healed man? I wonder if the core reason is fear. A fear so primal and so deep it drives away all compassion, all empathy, all tenderness, all sense of kinship. If the man's blindness isn't a punishment for sin, then what does that mean about how the world works? Anyone might get sick, or suffer from a disability, or face years of undeserved pain and suffering for no discernible reason whatsoever. That wouldn't be fair, would it? That would be a version of reality the good religious folks can't control. A terrifying, destabilizing version. Who among us can bear to surrender the illusion of control? Not only does the community's legalistic approach to faith prevent them from seeing the healed man, it also prevents them from seeing God's love and power at work in their midst. No one in the story rejoices when the man is healed. No one. Not even the man's parents, expresses joy or wonder or gratitude or awe. No one says, I'm happy for you, or asks, what is it like to see for the first time? Does the sunlight hurt your eyes? What are you excited to look at first? Instead, the community responds with contempt. Its need to preserve its own sense of righteousness is more important than celebrating a fellow human being's restoration to life. The place where we are right, the poem says, is hard and trampled like a dog. Hard and cynical, hard and suspicious, hard and stingy. This suggests to me that vulnerability, softness, curiosity, and openness are essential to real seeing. The gospel tells us that Jesus' true identity eludes just about everyone until his resurrection. Even his disciples struggle to understand who and what their teacher is. Most of the people who encounter Jesus are too busy seeing what they want to see. A magician, a heretic, a political and military leader, a carpenter's son, a wise man, a phony, a clerical threat. To notice what the blind man, free of all such filters, discerns by the end of the story. The blind man alone sees Jesus as the Son of Man and calls him Lord. We might say then that this is one of the rare and beautiful moments in the Gospels when Jesus himself is truly seen. The blind man sees Jesus as holy and purely as Jesus sees him. The gaze and the recognition in this story are mutual because the healed man has no preconceptions. Because the spiritual ground he stands on is soft and subtle, he is able to see God as God is. Doubts and loves dig up the world, like a mule or like a mole, like a plow. They allow the whispers of God's Spirit to bring forth new life. I am in awe of the trust the healed man has in Jesus by the end of this week's gospel story. A trust deep enough to enable him to bear honest, radical witness to his experience, even at the risk of censure and excommunication from his religious community. In shedding his identity as the man blind from birth, the healed man becomes a disciple, a traveler, a pilgrim. He commits himself without looking back, straining forward instead of clinging to what others tell him is right and true. He is, in the truest sense, born again. During this Lenten season, may we too confess our blindness, receive sight. May we also praise the one who kneels in the dirt and gets his hands dirty in order to heal us. May we also soften and prepare the ground we stand on, so that when new life appears, whatever surprising guise God chooses, we will embrace, cherish, celebrate, and share good news too. Amen. You may be seated. Okay, you can. No worries. Good morning. This is our announcement period. For those of you who are new to St. John's, thank you for visiting. We are so happy to have you. My name is Mother Kelsey, and I am the supply priest here. We gotta have a better title for that. We really do. But otherwise, so announcements. We have our Lenten Soup and Supper that is meeting on Wednesdays. We have 2 more meetings or 1 more? 2 more meetings of that. I'm pretty sure 1 is signed up for. I don't know about the last one. So if anybody is interested in doing it, the sign up is in the parish hall. What other announcements do we have?
Just maybe updates on some times for things.
Okay.
Monday, Thursday here at
6 p.m.
Right?
Yep.
Good Friday at First Friday Methodist
At 7.
7.
Mm-hmm.
The Easter, we're going to have our breakfast after the service, which is a change from what we've done in the past. We voted on that last Sunday. And then I wanted to ask, as a person, to ask, well, we're all here.
here.
Are we going to gather in the parish hall for Palm Sunday?
I do not know. I have one more Sunday before that, right? Yes. All right, I'll let you know next Sunday. Is that where we've gathered in the past?
I think so.
Okay. Yes.
You and I have talked briefly about having a vigil following Maundy Thursday.
Yes.
Since that is something that I don't believe this congregation has done before, we've not done it since I've been here, should we talk about that and maybe have some sign-ups for that?
Yes. So, I'm not really ready to talk about that this morning, but so it is, I don't know what tradition is in different cultures or different parishes. So there are some traditions where starting Maundy, Thursday evening, we hold a vigil with whatever remnants of sacrament is left until Good Friday when we use it. As a way of keeping prayer in kind of simultaneous with the gospel where the disciples kept prayer while Jesus was praying. So we've decided we're going to do that this year for anybody who wishes to do that. Typically it's an hour sign up. You can do it either at home or here. We will have it set up in the chapel. And you use that time to pray as a culmination right before we get to Good Friday and then Easter. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to anybody, so this is just spitballing ideas. We could maybe have it live streamed for those who don't want to be present, but I'm not sure. No, I'm getting a no on that. So that's a no. But you do not have to be present to be here and to pray. So you can do that. We'll have that sign up and any more information that I feel is necessary for you guys next Sunday. So that way, on Thursday, you can sign up if you know for sure you want to do it, or get more information on Sunday so that by Thursday you'll know. Is that cool? Did I hit everything that you wanted to hit?
Sure.
Anything else? Any birthdays or anniversaries this week?